ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello there and welcome to CoreTV News at 7 with me, Sabena Izuku. Now, the only man to have signified interest to challenge President Goodluck Jonathan for the presidential ticket of the People's Democratic Party is still not able to pick the party's nomination form. Abdul Jalil Tafawa Balewa said at a news conference in Abuja that when he made inquiries for the presidential form, he was told that it was not available. He also wants the Independent National Electoral Commission to take steps to ensure internal democracy in all the political parties in the country. The report.
This is the man who has dared to step into a field where many PDP members dread. He has ignored the admonitions of the National Executive Council of the party to challenge President Jonathan for PDP's presidential ticket. Abdul Jalil Tafawa Balewa is the son of Nigeria's first and only prime minister, but he says the party leadership has been frustrating his efforts to pick the nomination form in spite of making his intention known.
The nomination form, they said they don't have any at the moment. What we need to do and what we're doing is for others to know, for the whole country to know and beyond, that if the president has been announced that he's picking his nomination form next week, obviously there is one. If there is one, it should be mine.
And although he does not seem to have a power base in the PDP, he says he deserves to be given the opportunity to challenge the incumbent for the party's ticket. Tafawa Balewa believes Nigeria's political parties are moving closer to what obtains in communist societies and wants INEC to take steps to ensure internal democracy.
We've had so many different things going on to a point where we have not been able to create institutions. I know our democracy is supposed to be so young, especially this iteration that we're in. But without creating institutions, we will have no historical lineage in democracy. Everything that happens from the federal has to trickle down all the way to the ward. Everybody needs to be able to have some recognition whereby what happens at the presidency should be repeated at the state level, at the gubernatorial, should be repeated and happen at the senatorial, the state assembly, all the way to the wards. When you create some rules at the presidency and you create some other rules at the ward level, what do you think we're getting? Animal farm, where some animals are more equal than others. That is not democracy.
And with only a week to the close of the deadline for interested individuals to pick nomination form, the medical doctor who used to be a staunch supporter of President Jonathan is running out of time. But he believes that PDP leaders will make the necessary form available to enable him contest against Jonathan for the right to fly the party's ticket.
And away from that, a date has been set for President Goodluck Jonathan to publicly declare his intentions to seek a second term in office. It is Tuesday, November 11th. This decision was taken at the inaugural meeting of the Presidential Declaration Committee at the banquet hall of the Presidential Villa. Committee Chairman Haliru Bello noted that, although a date has been fixed, the venue has not been decided.
We have agreed on the date. The declaration will be on the 11th of November, on Tuesday. We have not yet decided on the venue, but we will decide at our next meeting. And we hope, like every other Nigerian who has asked Jonathan to come out and declare, when we come on Tuesday, 11th November, the president will come and face the people of Nigeria and say yes to their request. And a venue and a platform for the president to meet the people of Nigeria and respond to their yearnings that he should contest. If he says yes, then it is yes. If he says no, then it is.
Meanwhile, one of the members of the presidential declaration team, Governor Ibrahim Shema of Katsina State, has revealed that the arrangements are on ground to ensure a hitch-free event on the 11th of November. He told State House correspondent on the sidelines of the team's inaugural meeting that a number of subcommittees are already in place.
Yes, committees have been, the committee has been set up, inaugurated yesterday, and subcommittees have been established today, and more work will continue into putting effect to the decisions of this main committee. We have a maximum period of 2 weeks to complete what we are doing, starting from yesterday.
Few days after the urged former head of state Muhammadu Ibrahim to step down for a younger opposition candidate, renowned Islamic cleric Ahmed Gumi has asked President Goodluck Jonathan to drop his re-election bid. In an open letter similar to the one he wrote Buhari, Gumi argued that Jonathan has failed as a leader. In the letter posted on his Facebook page, Gumi describes the president as a divisive figure in the country who has polarized Nigeria along religious lines. He added that a Jonathan presidency beyond May 2015 will spell trouble for Nigeria because of the impression that he is negatively involved in the Boko Haram saga. Gumi backed his argument with the contents of the controversial letter written by former President Olusegun Obasanjo to Jonathan. A presidential aspirant in the All Progressive Congress, Sam Inda Azai, has again reaffirmed his opposition to consensus candidacy. Speaking against the backdrop of APC governor's position on the issue, Inda Azai maintained that he fully supports a free and fair presidential primary based on secret balloting. He made his stance on the consensus arrangement clear in a recent exclusive interview with CoreTV News.
Well, consensus candidate means that they have looked at all the candidates and see who is better fit to win for us. And when you are going to choose a consensus candidate, let's even take specifically this instance now. We are going to, the PDP has already declared that APC is, that Jonathan is their candidate. So in choosing a consensus candidate, what the party would do first is that everybody will agree on the terms of the choice of this consensus candidate, since we intend to win. And winning is logic. Winning is arithmetic. Jonathan is the candidate. So when you want to choose a consensus candidate, you don't just come up and say, okay, you be consensus candidate and others. It's not done that way. That is why anywhere it is done so, it fails. Everybody sits down and look at, okay, if you, Mr. X, contest against Jonathan, these are the chances. This is what is going to happen. This is going to be the electoral behavior of this group, that group, this group. You know, there are 36 states in this country. If for instance, they say that there is a consensus and you just call Atiku now, and Atiku comes out to say, I don't agree, then it is not a consensus. Then Atiku and any other person can contest. But if it is a consensus, then everybody has agreed. Then you can't be asking me, will you agree? If that question comes up, will you agree, then it means that it is not a consensus. Consensus will be very good if we all look at, if we all sit down and do the arithmetic among ourselves.
The governor of Kano State, Rabiu Kwakwanso, says all those aspiring to become president in the All Progressive Congress are better than President Goodluck Jonathan. He also said because of the area of aspirants in the APC, it will be wrong to assume that the party will split after its presidential primary. Kwakwanso, who spoke with journalists in Abuja on Friday evening, said it was also wrong to assume that the ruling People's Democratic Party has a presidential candidate already. Apart from Kwakwanso, other presidential aspirants in the APC are former head of state Muhammadu Buhari, a former vice president Atiku Abubakar, and a newspaper publisher Sam Inda Zaya. The governor said he would openly declare his intentions on October 28th, adding that it was difficult for him to secure a venue for the declaration. He also revealed that all the aspirants have agreed to work with whoever wins the party's presidential primary, saying none of them would leave the party. Although the National Assembly has endorsed autonomy for the local governments in the latest amendment to the Nigerian Constitution, not all the federal lawmakers are comfortable with the move. They also have different opinions on the removal of immunity for the executive, but are content to wait to see how the 36 state legislatures will vote on the amended provisions.
If the local governments don't have autonomy, we can never move. As long as the state governments seize local government funds, we can never move as a nation. So I was one of the strong advocates of this autonomy for local governments, and I'm sure it got passed. Whether the state House of Assembly will do that, it's a different thing, but it's in their own interest to make sure that that becomes law. Because that's the only way they can now be independent of the governors. That's the only way. If they're getting their funds directly from the federal allocation, they can, work as local government. Right now they're not. They're like, that's why in most places you have transition committees, which is unfortunate, no elections, because the government can control the funds. See, we have to take power away from the center. All this competition to come to Abuja and so on, it's not healthy for this nation. Let us devolve power to the states, to local governments. Let development start from the grassroots. Local governments have a lot of things they can do. Now they don't need anything. Because what they get is just enough to pay their salaries.
The local government is never a tier of government. The federal system consists of only two tiers, the federal and the state component units. The local government is a component unit of the state. It's an appendage of the state. It's not supposed to be an independent, utterly independent, autonomous system where we are having within the state. There can't be two governments within the state. There can't be two governments within the state. So are you saying that each of the local governments will have its own head of service? Each of the local governments will have its own scheme of service, will have its own, will have its own salary, wage, and bills. All of these things are things that we have to look at. We have to go beyond emotions when we look at issues politically.
Now, the battle for supremacy between the APC and the PDP in Ekiti State has taken a worrisome dimension. The PDP members at the State House of Assembly have accused their APC colleagues of plotting the impeachment of Governor Ayo Fayose. They also allege that the APC lawmakers have received financial inducement from the top national leader of the party based in Lagos to carry out the plot. The APC lawmakers, however, debunked the allegations as baseless. Rashid completes the rest of the story.
Since the change of leadership button at the governorship level in Ekiti State, all appears not well as things are no longer at ease. The state has continued to move from one crisis to another. This time, it is the State House of Assembly which is wrapped in crisis stemming from the change of government and the recent defection of some APC members to the PDP. Firing the first salvo, the new PDP members alleged that their former party colleagues has perfected plan to impeach Governor Fayose with heavy financial backing from a national leader of the party, an allegation described as laughable by the APC lawmakers.
The speaker collected 100 million naira, and the other members collected 800 million naira. So to put this state to coma and coming back to say they are addressing press, it's just a defense mechanism.
We have been alleged that we went to Lagos to collect 50 million naira per honorable members and the Right Honorable Speaker 100 million naira. There's no reason under the sun why we cannot travel to Lagos to confer with the leadership of our party, especially when we have pressing issues within the party.
The PDP caucus also raised eyebrow over the boycotts by APC leadership in the House of a planned meeting with the state governor. They are alleged that the APC lawmakers instead chose to travel to Lagos. The APC lawmakers, however, put a defense.
If I go to Lagos, or members of the House of Assembly decide to go to Lagos to be properly briefed on the events of the party by the national leader, it's equally happening in other parties too. The PDP has their own national leader, and other parties too, they have their own national leader.
If the governor, the number one citizen of the state, and the head of the parliamentary have an agreement to meet the governor on a stipulated date, and now discover that they are not even in the state, they are in Lagos, I can confirm they are in Lagos. And I knew they are being given money to truncate the system.
But the flexing of muscles by lawmakers on each side of the divide may snowball into a major showdown as they seem not ready to let down their guards.
Is suspicious. Mr. Governor is suspicious. The action of preempting whether they are impeachment or order is suspicious. And that has always been the style.
We implore the governor, work directly with this assembly. Whatever may be your vision, this assembly is ready to partner with you, particularly from the APC. Once it's in the interest of our people and is on the side of the law.
Observers, particularly the citizens of the state within and in the diaspora, are however studying the development with bated breath, just as the House cut short its recess. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado-Ekiti.
After the break, United Nations says it will continue to support Nigeria in promoting peace. Stay with us.
Glad to have you join us another edition of The Political Arena, the most detailed and incisive political show.
If you are a sitting governor and the opposition is able to stomach structure against you, that means you are wicked to the people.
They gave me 20 minutes to move or they will shoot me.
He has no chance for survival. If he likes himself, this is the best time to get out before he perishes.
The PDP as a ruling party has failed.
So anybody who thinks that government will fold his hands and allow miscreants to take over the streets of our own state and cause havoc is deceiving himself.
The good, bad, ugly and beautiful sides of the Nigerian political system. Join me every Sunday at 9:15 p.m. on CoreTV News.
Welcome back to the news. For more information, you can join us on our social media platform on facebook.com/CoreTV News and on Twitter at CoreTV News NG, on our YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space in the news. The United Nations says it will continue to support Nigeria in promoting peace, religious tolerance and unity. The UN Resident Coordinator, Dauda Torre, made the commitment at the 69th UN Day celebration in Abuja. The commemoration event was held on the premises of the UN building that was hit by a car bomb more than 3 years ago. Pi Samuel has the report.
This is the first UN Day celebration on the premises of the UN House since a suicide bomber killed scores of people and almost brought down the complex on August 26, 2011. More than 3 years after, the UN says it is important that it celebrates its 69th anniversary there to demonstrate its commitment to peace.
Today, we join the global community for commemorating the UN Day to reaffirm our global mission and reassert our normative role the universal values of tolerance, mutual respect and human dignity, and to uphold our faith in the tenets of the United Nations Charter as it states, "We the people," clearly giving voice to all people, especially the voiceless.
The mood at the gathering was a sober one. A 1-minute silence was observed for the soul of those who died during the attack.
May their souls and the souls of all the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace.
The UN representative is concerned over renewed insurgent activities in spite of a ceasefire deal between government and Boko Haram. But he believes that it will end the years of violence and bloodletting in the country, especially in the northeast.
Millions of people continue to suffer deplorable exploitation through bonded labor, human trafficking, sexual slavery, and unsafe conditions in factories, fields, and mines. The global economy remains an even playing field. The founding of the United Nations was a solemn pledge to the world's people to end such assault on human dignity and lead the way to a better future.
The government says it is committed to ensuring lasting peace in the country, and it is convinced that a peaceful environment will create an avenue for sustainable development.
Without peace and stability, commendable efforts of Nigeria will come to naught. We all know that conflict in every community is inevitable, but it needs to be managed through peaceful means, including good governance, principles of transparency and accountability, rule of law, equity and justice that take away desperation and give hope to all of mankind, particularly the youth and women, to bring about equity in our regions and in the various ethnic nationalities.
3 years after the Boko Haram attack, reconstruction work on the UN house has not been completed. But now, the government says it will ensure that the building is ready for use soon.
Today will have been a day of celebration of 69 years of United Nations. But mere looking at our countenances shows that yes, we are not happy as a people. Because 3 years ago, our children, our staff, our colleagues, our compatriots fell to the hands of the terrorists here in this same building. And that makes today's celebration a sorrowful celebration.
For now, the United Nations system and the Nigerian authorities have expressed a joint commitment to peace and would work together to ensure sustainable development. But first, they are committed to ensuring that the UN house is back to what it was before a suicide bomber rammed a bomb-laden van through the gate into the building. Pius Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
President Goodluck Jonathan has joined his Beninoy counterpart Boni Yayi to perform the groundbreaking ceremony of the Seme-Krake Joint Border Control Post. Jonathan described the occasion as an important milestone in the ECOWAS integration protocol. He said the Seme-Krake Joint Border Post would ease the present hardship facing border users and the official operating along Nigerian-Benin Republic borders. And while highlighting the security benefits of the project, President Goodluck Jonathan noted that it would help enhance exchange of data and intelligence between relevant agencies of both countries. For his part, Yayi said Benin Republic was like a state in Nigeria in view of historical, economic, social and cultural affiliation between both countries. He described Jonathan as a friend of his country and commended Nigerians' efforts at tackling insecurity in the sub-region. The project is partly funded by the European Union, World Bank, United Nations, Agency for International Development, and the African Development Bank. Meanwhile, the ECOWAS Commission has formally commended Nigeria and Senegal for the exemplary response to the Ebola outbreak, which has resulted in the World Health Organization declaring the two countries free of the disease. Although Senegal was the first to be given a clean bill of health after reporting one solitary case, the sub-regional body described the Nigerian case as remarkable. In a message of solidarity, the president of the ECOWAS Commission, Kadri Udodraogo, expressed confidence that the initiatives and experiences will serve as a model to the rest of the world in dealing with the disease. He added that Nigeria and Senegal have proved that internal solutions to humanitarian emergencies are possible within ECOWAS region, with the support and collaboration of the international community. Staying on Ebola, millions of doses of experimental Ebola vaccines will be produced by the end of 2015, according to the World Health Organization. It said several hundred thousands will be produced in the first half of the year, while the vaccines could be offered to health workers on the front line in West Africa as soon as December 2014. However, the World Health Organization cautioned that vaccines will not be a magic bullet for ending the outbreak. There is no proven cure or vaccine for Ebola. In response to the largest epidemic of the disease in history, the World Health Organization is accelerating the process of vaccine in development. It normally takes years to produce and test a vaccine, but drug manufacturers are now working on a scale of weeks. 2 experimental vaccines produced by GlaxoSmithKline and the Public Health Agency of Canada are already in safety trials. The GSK vaccine is being tested in Mali, the UK, and the US. Research on the Canadian vaccine is also underway in the US, with further trials expected to start in Europe and Africa soon. The results are expected in December. After that, trials will move to countries affected by Ebola, probably starting with Liberia. We'll take another break, and when we return, we'll take you outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
Welcome you to From the Ivory Tower. On happenings around the country, varsity teachers get to air their views. Students are actually not left out. We bring you intellectual ends on the events happening around you. It is dedicated to educating the populace with a spice of entertainment.
From the Ivory Tower, Tuesdays, only on CoreTV News.
Welcome back. David Cameron has angrily insisted the UK will not pay £1.7 billion being demanded by the European Union. The people think I am paying that bill on the 1st of December. They have another thing coming. The Prime Minister said in Brussels, it's not going to happen. But Commission President José Manuel Barroso said the demand should not have come as a surprise to the UK. He said it was made under a system agreed by all the member states and based on data provided by them. The EU finance minister have agreed to the UK's request for emergency talks about the top-up payment, which would add about a fifth to the UK's annual net EU contribution of £8.6 billion. Cameron said he was downright angry and said the British public would find the vast sum totally unacceptable. And that wraps up the news at 7. Do join us on the primetime news at 9:45 p.m. I am Sabena Izoku, and thank you very much indeed for watching.